Hello everyone, a warm welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Well, our countdown continues. It's 94 days from today to the 2023 general elections. And Nigerians are counting with me on the day Nigerians will be able to go to the polls to elect their leaders in the presidential and the National Assembly elections. The opportunity presents itself to all those who have their voters card, and if you do not have, make sure that you get your PVC and make your vote count. Indeed, it's your right, especially when you're above the age of 18. Nigeria, count down with me, hashtag Nigeria decides, 94 days to the Nigerian election. Let's begin by letting you know that the campaign train of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, and his running mate, Senator Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, stopped in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. And supporters of the candidate and that of the Labour Party, they took to the Adebanjo Stadium, where they were waving banners and clad in parties, customized shirts and caps and other paraphernalia. One major attraction, however, at that event was the attendance and appearance of the leader of the Yoruba Social-Cultural Group, Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo. The Yoruba leader insists on rotational presidency and restructuring of the country. He also spoke about the alleged grievance that he has against APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, says his party stands on the principles of justice and fairness, and those values will help rebuild Nigeria. Let's tell you that the electoral umpire INEC says there is no going back on his decision to upload election results on his portal for real-time viewing by Nigerians on election day. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the use of bimodal voter accreditation system has come to stay, and that there will be no provision for incident form on election day. Professor Yakubu made the stance known at the Stakeholders Forum on the 2023 general elections organized by the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. According to Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, he says INEC's loyalty is to Nigerians and not to anyone.
We want to assure the international community that Nigeria will not let you down. The quality of elections will always improve. And most importantly for us, Nigerians also need to be assured and reassured that polling unit level results will be uploaded in real time and the integrity of the process will be upheld. I want to assure you and reassure you that the 2023 general election is going to be our best ever elections. We are committed, and that the votes cast by Nigerians will determine the outcome of the elections, nothing more, nothing less.
All right. Those assurances, well, we will touch on those statements made by the INEC chairman in a moment. But let's check out some of your political roundup stories, and we'll bring you up to speed with what is happening that we may not be discussing tonight.
The Commissioner of Police in Abia State, Mr. Mohammed Bala, is calling on political parties in the state to conduct themselves in an orderly manner before, during and after the 2023 general elections. Speaking during the signing of peace accord among 18 political parties in Umuahia, Mr. Bala cautioned politicians to desist from destroying billboards and posters of their opponents. Both the British High Commissioner to Nigeria and the Commonwealth Pre-Election Mission in Nigeria are calling on political parties and the electoral umpires to ensure that the 2023 general elections are peaceful and credible. Speaking at a meeting with the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party in Abuja, the British High Commissioner says the United Kingdom will not hesitate to impose sanctions on any individual or group that commits electoral violence. At a separate meeting with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the Commonwealth Pre-Election Mission emphasizes the need for Nigeria to get it right with the elections in 2023, citing the country's strategic position in the continent as a reason not to fail. Legal luminary Chief Afe Babalola has condemned the recent impeachment drama in the Ekiti State House of Assembly as an act of lawlessness, insisting Mr. Buega Aribishogan was not impeached in a lawful manner. The elder statesman in a chat with journalists at Afe Babalola University, Ado Ekiti, says the impeached speaker was not handed or allowed to defend any formal allegation, maintaining his removal was hurriedly and lawlessly executed.
It's a clear case of breach of the law. Fundamental one, fair hearing, audio transfer.
The Ogun State chapter of the New Nigeria People's Party has unveiled Mrs. Shakirat Arowolo as its deputy governorship candidate. Mrs. Arowolo was formally presented to party members by the state chairman. Mr. Arowolo was formally presented to the party members by the state chairman in Abeokuta.
All right, you've been served with your political roundup stories. President Muhammad Buhari has nominated his new media aide, Ms. Loretta Onoche, as substantive chairman of NDDC board and 14 others as members of that board. The Niger Delta Development Commission as a nominee of being presented to by the president the second time, and the Senate president read the letter by the president during plenary today. The president is asking the upper chamber to confirm the appointment of the nominees, and this is the second time that will be happening, that is forwarding the list of nominees for the NDDC board for confirmation. Let's get started with our first line of conversation tonight. We are in search of, or for the next president and leaders in this country, and that is perhaps not an easy task, if you ask me. For Nigerian people, it will be a very tough one. They are now looking critically at the virtues and the characters who are on the ballot seeking this political office. Tonight, we speak with one of those who are seeking out of the 15 political parties who have put their hat in the ring for the presidential election. I'm being joined tonight by the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. He joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowore, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for bringing me.
I think we should begin with some of the events of today. Today, the president officially and formally presented the new face of the Naira to Nigerians. And those who have praised that decision of the CBN to come up with the redesign, they've given several reasons for doing that. But what is your view about that? This is not the first time we're seeing a redesigning or the renewing of the Naira, of the currency.
You know, the Naira was never redesigned. Going by what they presented today, they recolored the Naira. They changed the color of the different denominations.
Isn't that some kind of redesign?
No, that's not. That's, from the point of view of redesign, there will be something spectacularly different from how the Naira looks differently from what it used to be.
So you're not impressed?
No, I already said this redesign process was a scam. I've been issued. That's from the beginning. And I'm not surprised this is how it ended. I think they just remove a filter. Like people used to say, maybe they took it to TikTok and they used a filter to just change the color of the Naira, and then they poured a dye on it. It wasn't a redesign.
You don't think, apart from the face value, the essence of some of the reasons that the central bank governor gave for security reasons being part of it, the issue of inflation and a few other issues have been drawn into the reasons for redesigning. Do you think that this
makes
sense?
Any monetary policy that the Naira needed, it was to revalue the Naira, not to redesign it. It's never, I've read all the economics books in the world, and never in any book or any policy have I found the changing the outlook or the face of any currency that brings the currency to any value. It's just a contract for the boys, and I congratulate those who got a contract for, making this happen. They're lucky. The rest of us know that this was a scam.
I mean, this is not the first time. So when you're saying it's a scam,
let me tell you, I was around in 1984, if I am correct, when the Naira was that time. I think it was a redesign. It was Buhari regime in military uniform, And the people that benefited from it were still the rich people. The poor people queued up with 200 Naira, 40 Naira. The person who had the largest amount of currency in my village was 40,000 Naira in those days. And when he brought it out, everybody was like surprised that he had so much money. But by the time the redesigned Naira was given to him, they had reduced the value, the amount of money he had because of corruption. That's the first time I knew that even that regime was a scam, because the people who carried out the exchange of the Naira, the new notes and the old notes, were just making a killing out of it. So it ended up enriching people, not enriching Nigeria. It was never known that in 1984 the value of Naira increased because Buhari.
But what about the security reason that was given, and the fact that there's a whole lot of issues within the economic sector of the country relating to the reasons why the Naira has to be redesigned? There are a lot of people keeping huge amount of this money, which the banks have said, look, they're already returning. In fact, some banks have now opened on Saturday to allow people bring those notes.
Yes, because they open on Saturdays because, like I said, this will afford bank workers and whomever is involved in this to make some little bucks out of helping you to exchange your old Naira notes for the new ones. But the point is that the central bank governor is not the chief security officer of Nigeria. You might say, well, the president said he signed off on it, but it's not going to help with the security situation. If it did, we won't be hearing of
what
about 30 soldiers.
What would you do differently, Mr. Showore? If you were,
I would revalue the Naira, not redesign.
How would you do that? Well, and what does it mean?
There are macroeconomic policies for people in the executive sector and the central bank. And, the central bank is naturally supposed to be in charge of monetary policy. But one of the things they are doing there is that, as I have said, the Central Bank of Nigeria of today is just a glorified bureau de change, where if you have connections, you can get dollars, and they change for Naira at a special rate. That is not monetary policy. Monetary policy is looking at the value of your currency, how it's performing against all other currencies around the world. And a range of activities that needs to take place for you to have a Naira that's valuable. When people have lost direction and exposure and interest and intellect about how to deal with these issues, they start playing around with redesign and all these very, very childish monetary policies that Nigeria has been known for recently. The value of the Naira has not reduced since it started the redesign.
The inflation rate is about 20.7%
yes.
as we speak.
Yes.
And you want to be Nigeria's president.
Yes.
Do you see it going down? Should you win that election?
Well, yes, it will, because we're going to engage in production. We're going to invest in our people. We're going to ensure that the central bank governor is not a BDC operator. He's a person who is qualified to hold that position. And he has a very strong grip on monetary policy. And the president also have a strong grip on the new economic policy that will enrich the Nigerian people, not to enrich a few.
Just how low do you think you can draw it to?
I cannot tell you directly now.
But you should have a plan. What kind of inflation rate, what rate do you think makes sense for the kind of government you are hoping to run?
It will be an inflation rate that is at par with production levels and confidence levels in our market, because there will be a new sheriff in town. But to give you a particular number at this point is to engage in the kind of fallacy that led us to this point that we're in now.
You know what the American people were screaming and were really upset about as they went into the midterm elections?
Yes.
The inflation rate of the United States went to about 7.7%.
Yes.
And that almost affected the chances. In fact, in so many states of the United States, affected the chances of the ruling party.
Yes.
So there must be a target for you. Are you dragging it into a single digit?
I'm not. Yes,
you should have a plan.
Hope is
Nigerians are watching tonight.
We
want
to get to single digits.
Yeah.
And as in the US, you also know that when it got to a point, they were planning to make a law. I don't know if they eventually made that law, which is there was a reduction in inflation act kind of law that they were pursuing, because they were concerned about not just elections, but they're concerned about the ability of their citizens to cope with the inflation rate. And they started adjusting a number of things, not just a law that says inflation must remain at this point, but they were also concerned about employment, they were concerned about production, they were concerned about losses, and they were also concerned about the manpower. running the economic affairs. So these are issues that you get from leaders who are concerned about the welfare of the people of a country, not the design of the Naira, which cost us 218 billion Naira. We could have given that money to ASU so that we can start from somewhere. They can call off this strike conclusively, and the education sector could be running. While we make, while we produce possibly.
Since you touched on the issue of ASU,
yes.
For those who think that maybe the government is not running education sector well, and those who
they're not running anything well.
Do you think that, I mean, you think that you take away the running of the education, tertiary and institution for that matter, into private hands, or how do you run it better?
No, I would never be part of those who ask private sector to run education. It will be a publicly run education program. And we are focusing on free education. I have said it and I'm repeating here that every student in Nigeria who is in higher institution, there are 1.7 million students in higher institution, will get at least 100,000 Naira per semester as study grant from the federal government. And I mean it. I'm not going to make them take loans.
Where would that money be coming from?
Well, it will come from a number of places that we have discovered money is hidden right now, or where we are not efficiently collecting revenue.
Where are those?
I found out just 2 weeks ago in research there are over 11 trillion Naira from revenue-generating agencies of the federal government that are returned to the consolidated account. The NLNG, which is our gas-producing company, of which we have 49% investment through the NNPC, is depositing huge amount of dollars to us, but they're not transparently done. We'll make them deposit that money in the consolidated account of the federal government, not the NNPC, because that's a cesspool of corruption. We have also found out that oil companies, both local and international oil companies, are owing over 4-point-something billion. I believe it's 6-point-something billion beyond that we can collect very quickly and put the money to use locally. We don't need to borrow. In my first and second, my first 4 years, I have discovered where we can plug all the loopholes and make more money that's a larger pile, so that you don't need to engage in.
You have an idea of the debt servicing in the budget at the moment?
Yes.
And the percentage of that in the entire budget of Nigeria?
So I've said it.
So because the reason why I'm asking this question is that we've heard over and over again how politicians make promises.
I'm not a politician. I'm a political activist, and I'm straightforward about what I'm capable of.
Because you're running for office. That's
that doesn't
basic
make me
definition of being a politician.
Well, what politicians are known as in Nigeria are people who deceive people, and I'm not that kind of a person. If that's the meaning of politicians to Nigeria, because we are talking contextually to Nigeria.
So that Nigerians don't feel that there's a deceit here.
I'm not deceiving anybody.
Just a moment, if I push him the question, because you're saying that you're not going to borrow, you're not going to do this, you're going to spend almost 170 billion Naira every 5 months, because you said every semester you will give free 170 billion Naira
to Nigerians. Yes, 100,000
Naira
to Nigerians.
Times 1.7 million.
Absolutely.
So that is where the question comes.
Yes.
Where would you be getting this money from?
When
Nigeria couldn't even pay lecturers.
I've just told you about 11 trillion Naira of unremitted revenue. They're sitting in the bank accounts of our MDAs that we can get because it belongs to the federal government. 11 trillion Naira is a huge amount of money. Money is owed by oil companies. If we do the investigation further where they deposit the oil, where they take the oil to, you discover it's about $62 billion. I've told you about NLG partnership and what they owe us, and several other sources of income in this country that are being covered up because they know there's no leadership who knows how to find all this money. I'm talking to you as a citizen of Nigeria who has operated alone, almost virtually, finding money, kicking out sources where money has been hidden, having to provide evidence for stolen monies, and ensuring that some of the monies that were taken outside offshore corruption. I've been the person who covered it the most in the last, since 2006, through Sahara Reporters. So when I'm telling you this fact, believe them. I know the politicians, I know how they steal, I know how the money in this country is being frittered. I'm not just saying it to lie to you on TV. It's a matter of fact, and that if you get to work, you'll be shocked. Nigerians will be begging me to continue in government after my 2 terms when I do the job that I'm telling you. But I don't want to do more than 2 terms. I'm not interested.
You are not a sit-tight.
No, I'm not interested. I'm just saying that, there's a lot of low-hanging fruits. And there's a lot of things that can be done without making governance look like rocket science.
So you think corruption is a major problem?
It's not about corruption. It's the cost of governance. It's the fact that we're not efficient.
What would you do differently in terms of cost of governance?
I've said it. I'm not going to repeat a minister and have a minister of state. I want to work towards the elimination of one of the legs of the National Assembly, because it's useless to have 2 arms that are not doing it. There are more senators in Nigeria with 21 trillion naira budget than the U.S. government that's like trillion of dollars in budgets. What are we doing with them? Get rid of one of them.
So
ensure that
you will collapse the National Assembly into 1 arm?
1 arm, yes. 1 arm.
How easy would that be?
It won't be easy, but it's a matter of fact that we're going to convince the people that you don't need this burden. And that's just the National Assembly. Executive arm has its own too, that I can do easily. Because ensuring that a lot of the ministries, agencies now that you have that are not functioning.
Which of those kind of agencies?
There are plenty of them that I've discovered. And if we sit here and start discussing them, you'll be shocked at how many agencies are.
For example, which one gives you the most worry that doesn't need to be in existence, for example?
I don't know why we have multiple security agencies, for instance. I will merge, for instance, the EFCC. I'm just giving one example with the ICPC. They do the same job, essentially. Why do you need all those buildings, manpower, when you can merge them together? And you have all, multiple agencies. For instance, also I've talked about pilgrimage. Why are we investing in pilgrimage? When even the holy books for the pilgrim says, if you don't have money, don't go on pilgrimage, but you're spending billions of naira. Instead of investing money in Taraba kids and Kaduna and Kano kids to go to school, you're sending more pilgrimage to Mecca, and we're sending more pilgrims to Israel. Then you have more kids doing WAEC in some of the states.
You're speaking more like an activist rather than someone who understands.
I just told you I wasn't a politician a few minutes ago, and you didn't agree.
No. I'm saying, what I don't agree with is the fact that that I am a journalist.
Yes.
And I don't want to be called a... No, you were once.
I'm still a journalist.
If I don't want to become...
I'm a citizen journalist. I made myself a journalist, not...
If I don't want to be called a journalist, doesn't mean that I'm not a journalist.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
No.
You practice... you are doing politics right now.
No, I'm doing political activism. The one of a revolutionary kind.
And I don't know how far that will go. That will take you. The reason why I'm asking?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're trying to pull down the house, isn't it?
No.
In the manner in which you are approaching.
I'm trying to pull down this part of the house that has collapsed on the people. Take the people out of the rubble. That's what I'm doing. Yes, that's different from pulling down.
And you think this will work?
It will work because Nigerian people are tired of a house that is collapsing on them on an annual basis.
So
133 million people are poor in a country where 5 people have more money than 200 million people. What kind of system is that? The house has already collapsed.
Are you going after those who you think have stolen the nation's wealth?
I've always done that. Even as an individual.
Would you be doing that should you win the election?
On an official level.
How would you do it?
Very aggressively. Look, every Nigerian president is always hungry to become the Minister of Petroleum Resources. No, I'm not going for that. If I'm hungry for a ministerial position, it will be the Ministry of Justice. Social, economic, cultural, and physical justice in the country. I will be interested in what's happening there so that nobody gets away with the kind of impunity that has bedeviled and destroyed Nigeria to what it is today. I'm not going to lie about it. So you can choose to vote for me or not vote for me. You can choose, like I said, you can choose to vote for the axe if you're in the forest because the handle of the axe is made of wood. And then there will be no forest left when the axe goes gaga.
In what manner do you think you will fight corruption? Is it in the style of some Asian countries?
I'm not a fan of the style right now because what we've seen is that there are corruption cases that have been in court since 2006.
I'm asking that, would you be employing some European way of fighting corruption or some Asian way of fighting corruption?
We can fight
corruption. You look at the way China goes about.
I don't believe in, if you're talking about death penalty, I don't believe in death penalty. I don't want to.
How do you think it's best to
it's preventive, is to make sure that they don't even lay their hands on the bulk of our resources before we stop them. And then we can do enforcement of a few who might outsmart the system. And afterwards, the system doesn't pardon you. I'm not going to be president who pardons somebody who's convicted for corruption.
You have once talked about the fleet cars and the flight plane that is in the custody of
public officials.
Public officials. Give us an idea of how you would like yours to be should you be president.
You know, it shouldn't be more than that of a Ghanaian president I saw once. It's like a car in front and one at the back. That's like the security car and the president's car.
Will you be driving yourself?
Why not? I'm young enough to drive myself if I should want to. Most of them drive around at night to go meet their concubines. Why can't they be driving during the daytime?
I mean, let's come to the reality and perhaps wrap up on this.
We're talking reality now. Sure.
No. It's the reality of whether or not you can win this election.
Yes.
Do you see yourself winning this election?
Absolutely. If people listen to this, you know, it's a function of, you know, I'm not, you see, I changed my strategy in this election cycle. You know, I changed from crowds, you know, the echo chambers of go and gather crowd, because you can rent crowd anywhere you want. I've been to places where people who were in a stadium for APC waited for PDP. You know, same people, different uniform. But now we want to talk to the people, and I'm talking to people, I'm reaching out to professionals. I've attended most professional gatherings to let them know that there's a way to change the game and change the narrative, but you must change those who are in charge. But the problem we're having is that, and this includes the press, I can't stop saying it, it is those who have no ideas to share with the public that you claim are frontliners, not those who have fantastic ideas. In my course of doing a lot of media recently, I won't say a lot, but in the little media attention we get, I found some very fantastic fresh candidates who have better ideas than the people you keep pushing in front of the public, and you need to stop that. The media, and when I say you, I'm not talking about the media. I mean, the media needs to stop, you know, doing that. You need to put people who have great ideas on how to make this country work in front of the people. Let them keep repeating these ideas until everybody's hearing them, and not people who don't talk, or when they talk, you can't even hear them. They're not audible enough, or they're not clear enough, and you keep saying they are the frontliners. Well, how can they be frontliners when they don't have frontline ideas?
I brought you here twice in 2 weeks.
That's why I said I'm not accusing you. But I thought you should have brought us to your own, you know, town hall meeting.
Wait for it.
Yeah, all right.
On a final note, Mr. Showore, for those obedient supporters who said, you are only angry because you don't like their candidate, and you always speak about their candidate because you thought that you were going to be the third force or the third leg of the race, in the manner in which it was described the last time you were there, and perhaps because Peter Obi is ahead of you in polls and all of that. Is that a kind of anger that you have towards him? Because I see that you also tweet.
So, Shehu, was I angry about Peter Obi in 1992? 1993, when I fought the military. Peter Obi was not even known in. I
wanted to respond to the obedience.
No, I'm just giving
who have accused
a
you
context.
Of this.
You know, that's campaign, social media harassment that all of us engage in it. Everybody wants to get ahead of the other candidates. You understand? Wasn't Peter Obi the deputy to Atiku in 2019? I didn't even mention his name. If you didn't bring him up now, I won't be talking about him. What I'm saying is that any campaign that is childish, that doesn't address the issues, are, you know, relevant, but not important.
You think you have better ideas than
the
people on the ballot?
Look, why don't we do this? Bring me and Obi to discuss our ideas on your show. I guarantee you he will not come. I'm saying this to you.
He's not the only one on the ballot.
Yes, but you brought him up now and said he's a third force.
No, because that's what his followers have accused
because I know the other two people will not show up.
Who are the other two people?
Emilokon, that's Ashiwaju and Atiku. They dare not show up. They're not showing up now.
Why do you think so?
Are they going to show up in your town hall meeting?
We've invited them.
Yes, everybody is invited and they don't show up anymore. In fact, since they saw that I've been attending professional events, they have stopped coming, including Peter Obi.
You think they are afraid of you?
They should be afraid, because anybody that's got no ideas at this time should be afraid of those who have ideas.
Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the AAC, thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
I wish you the very best in your push to become Nigeria's next president. We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, a more critical look in what Buhari government is doing, the 2023 election, and the choice for a leader. I know you have on your mind who you think could be your candidate and the person you will vote for. We'll be speaking next with the governor of Nassarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule, and making the tough choice for the next leader of this country. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Let's continue with the conversation right here. I'm being joined by the Executive Governor of Nassarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule. Thanks so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sharon.
Before we get into too deep into other issues, I'd like to today the chairman of INEC is saying there is no going back on the issue of transmitting the result of uploading result on INEC portal. There was a press conference about 3 days ago where the CUPP, the coalition of political parties, are accusing your party that your party is scared, that your party is all out to rig the elections, and that your party is already making plans to do this. Why do you think there is this perception? I mean, this is an allegation, a very heavy and weighty one. Why do you think there is a perception that your party is jittery of losing this election?
No, first and foremost, the party is not jittery, but the people speak, and it is normal. When PDP was actually the ruling party, PDP had always been accused of being the biggest rigging machine. So now APC is winning election. Today we have 20-something number of states. So what you expect is that people are also going to make the same accusation. We are the same Nigerians. Nigerians have not changed. So we are going to say also it is rigging the party. I had a candidate in my state. He had never won election. And every time he lost election, they rig it against him. So he said they rig it. Within his party, if you lost primaries, they rig it. The general election, if you won, so it's just normal thing for Nigeria. But if you want to know, there is no amount of fear whatsoever, within the party. I have not seen it when we are discussing at the Progressive Governors Forum meeting. I have not seen it when we are discussing within the leadership of the party. I have not seen it when we are discussing with the president of the country, who is the chairman of even the campaign council we have. So it's a perception. It's just what Nigerians...
Is it a perception, Governor Sule, considering the recent polls that have put your party very low in the rankings and put perhaps the Labour Party candidate higher than your party? And this is a party that has really not done so much in the last 2 election cycles. Is it also perception that your party lost election in Osun State? Is it also perception, Governor, that perhaps your party did not perform in terms of number in the last election cycle?
No, it is a perception. Let me start with the first one you mentioned. You see, polls election, social media election is quite different from the practical election. I will tell you, and it happened in my state. And it's a good example that you are given example with Labour Party. Labour Party had their flag off in my state, in Lafayette, the state capital. We gave them actually a venue, in Lafayette. The venue was a secondary school football field because we didn't have the stadium ready. We didn't have the other center ready. There was nobody there. It was not full. Not even 50% of that is full. That's the same party that they say will win election. Today, in Nassarawa State, you can go and check it on your own. Who is the candidate of Labour Party in Nassarawa State? I'm not saying it with disrespect. You will not see him anywhere. I don't even know his name. This is the party that is winning. So I think social media thing is quite different. Right?
Local elections, you're referring to local elections?
No. Okay.
Because, we're talking on the national stage.
I will take
For example, in Ibadan today, you saw the Buhari Adebanjo, who came, this perhaps one of those few times you will see a leader of a social-cultural group coming publicly to campaign for a particular candidate and a particular political party.
I think he has already said that over and over and over that he was going to be with Obi, so there is no surprise. I don't know who will be surprised. I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody in APC leadership will be surprised. He clearly mentioned that. The same thing, if you look at it, some of the Afenifere leaders have also identified with Asuwaju. So if Asuwaju will go to Ibadan maybe tomorrow, the same people may come out and campaign for him. So you see, this is political period. All kinds of things will happen. Talking about gathering, are you going to compare that with what has happened in Lagos? Are you going to compare that with what happened in Kano? I was in Kano together with Asuwaju. It took us 5 hours from the airport to the government house. There is nothing close to that that is there in Ibadan today. So I think, and all that is not the politics yet. You know, that's why I say what you see today is not even anything yet, because this election is going to be one man, one vote, and that's what APC is looking forward to.
So, I mean, apple for apple, oranges for oranges. If you make comparison between your candidate, Bola Tinubu, and the other candidates on the bill, how would you describe? Would you say your candidate is better? Of course, that's what you say. But how would you tell Nigerians that he's better? What would you say, and how will you describe? What are the characteristics that make your candidate better than the other candidates?
250,000 things. Today, the former governor, the current governor of Anambra State, where Peter Obi was governor, is the right person who will tell you what has happened during the period of Peter Obi. Today, I'm in a better position to tell you what and what, because I have the files in front of me. I have the numbers in front of me. What Tanko Almakura did compared with what you see on the pages of newspapers. So if you go back now to Anambra, look at what the governor of Anambra, they were in the same party. It's not that they changed party. It's Peter Obi that changed party, but it's the same Abga. So if you go and see what he is saying today about Peter Obi, you will not buy Peter Obi Tenkobo. And this is what is happening. So what other people who don't have any idea with what is happening are saying is quite different. Now, are you having the same thing with Aswaju and the governors who came after him in Lagos? Is Lagos better looking today than Anambra? Yes or no? Is the economy of Lagos better today than Anambra? Yes or no? You know, I mean, it's like day and night. You know, there is no comparison. So when you say I should compare, what am I comparing?
So what would you tell Nigerians, for example, that your party, because what you basically will be telling Nigerians that, oh, vote for our party and vote for Bola Tinubu, our candidate. But how would you impress it on them? What will you be telling Nigerians tonight? I mean, you should be able to tell them that your life is better than we met it, isn't it?
Well,
or you tell them, don't worry, we'll make it better anyways.
But let me tell you a lot of things that so many people have no idea has happened. You just earlier on, I was listening to you discuss about the economy. You discuss about what happened actually between 2015 to date and a little earlier than that. Nigeria made the highest money in oil and gas, in petroleum, between the years 20, go and check your Google. You will see that we made the highest 2011, 2012, and from there it started coming down. We made like 109 billion. Okay, dollars in 2011, 108 billion or so in 2012. From there, it started coming down to about 90, 70. When Buhari came to power, it came down as low as less than 30 billion US dollars that we had made in the year. So that is talking about the economy. So, and for the years that Buhari was there, we had not seen 1 month where we had made 60 billion US dollars. Now, check and see what Buhari has done. Check and see what Buhari has borrowed. Compare the numbers with the numbers that we have earned from the sales of crude oil. While we're talking about oil and gas, since that's the main reason why I'm here, you can ask somebody to Google for you and send you the numbers, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So these are the issues. So sometimes people are comparing apples and oranges. They are not looking at the facts.
So, Governor Sule, you're saying that the only excuse that we have is because there was a dwindling in earnings. That's the reason why you are not able to perform.
No, performance is better. We have done more infrastructures with the little we receive than we have seen infrastructures between 2011 and 2015. There are more infrastructures today than they were done.
Because you're a scientist. So now I allow you to speak to the numbers. Okay. What would you say about the indices that are at the center of our economy? The inflation figure, the unemployment figure.
Well, you ask a former presidential candidate here to tell you inflation rate, he didn't tell you. You see, because if somebody is trying to drive the inflation, inflation is a factor of so many other issues. It's a factor of income, it's a factor of population, it's a factor of demand. So you have so many things that make up, So if your income is weak and the buying power is also weak, and people that you are paying, they are getting the same thing. I'll give you a good example. When I left Dangote as the group managing director of Dangote Sugar, we were selling sugar roughly 9,000 naira, pay 50 kg back. At the time, people were making already roughly 30,000 naira, pay the minimum wage. Today, they are selling 150 kg back of Dangote Sugar, 30,000 naira, the same as the amount of the price. Who do you blame for that? So it's a combination of so many factors.
So because the reason why I'm asking you,
yes.
I'm asking you this question because you need to now tell Nigerians, and I'm asking you how you'll be able to explain it. Because if the indices have now been doubled, are the circumstances that bad, that they are as bad as doubled in the worst scenarios, to the point that you are leaving, or your government in these last few years will have left almost these indices quite double the number of where they met it. And that's why they will ask you, when you came into office, the PDP had even accused your party, leave Nigeria the way you left it in terms of the prices of commodities.
Yes, we will leave Nigeria the way we meant it by the grace of God. Today, we have seen production moving up. When they left, they were producing 2.2 to 2.5 million barrels actually per day. Today, with all the issues that we are facing, we are narrowly producing 1.2 to 1.3 million barrels per day. So we will leave the country. By the time Muhammadu Buhari hands over to Aswaju, we will leave the country back at 2.5 million barrels per day, and you will see what is happening in this country. The inflation rate will go to single digit by the grace of God, and then all these other numbers, look at what exactly
Between
happened.
now and next year, that will happen?
Tinubu is going to rule this country for another 8 years.
You sure he's going to win?
By the grace
What gives
of God,
you that confidence?
by the grace of God, he's going to win. All the factors, everything looking forward is showing that Tinubu is going to win.
I'll take you to, because I know you're an expert in that area, I'll take you to the oil field that was launched. So the question is, why should Nigerians be happy?
Nigerians should be the happiest people that what has happened yesterday. Matter of fact, when I watch the program that you were having yesterday on the Kolmani field, I felt bad, and I say, oh boy, let me actually be there, so people will understand what has happened. Nigeria has two kinds of development when it comes to the licenses they are given. They have what they call the Oil Prospecting License, OPL, and they have what they call the Oil Mining License, OML. Now, in Nigeria, we have the belts where oil is found. And you have so many of them. Outside the Niger Delta, you have the belt actually that you call the Benue Trough. Benue Trough actually begins in Calabar, in Cross River, let me put it that way. It comes all the way through Benue, through Ogoja, Benue, and then it comes to Nasarawa, going back to Plateau. From Plateau, it terminates as Lower Benue Trough and begins to be an Upper Benue Trough. At the end of this trough, that is where Kolmani is. That's where 1 billion barrels of oil is found. Now we are beginning to look like Saudi Arabia. Most of Saudi Arabia production that are huge fields, and by the way, this Kolmani has 1 billion barrels of oil reserve for now. That's what is confirmed for now. The upside potentials could lead it to more than 1 billion. And that is the reason why you found a company, an investor that is willing to do what you call a full a development on the on the entire field. That means an integrated field development. He's going to do refinery, he's going to do fertilizer, he's going to do chemicals, he will generate power, he will now produce his oil and separate the oil from gas to do the other things, because there is also a gas reserve in the same site. So we are lucky. It's not Nigerian money. It's an investor that is bringing in $3 billion of his to invest in that. And the investor does not have equity even in the block 809 and 810. Okay? So now these are the issues. So for him to come and do this full integrated field development, and the best thing that is going to happen to Nigeria is that we are now, all these fields that we are discovering along the Benue Trough, into the Lake Chad Basin, now along also the Anambra Basin, along the Benin Basin, along the Sokoto Basin, If we are going to do integrated field development in every one of them, Nigeria is gradually becoming, you know, a country like Saudi.
You know, the reason why a lot of people criticize and they were very skeptical about this is that when you visit Saudi Arabia, for example,
yes,
you visit Qatar and
yes,
some other countries
yes,
that are producing,
yes,
will probably have the same whatever, and they will ask you, they're better off in terms of development.
Definitely.
Leadership and corruption issues are bedeviled our own potential.
I agree with you 100%. I'm not doubting you in that area. I will not say anything negative to that. You are perfectly right. But you see, before you go to the extent of saying that you need to even have what you call the upside potentials, even outside that, you see, today in Nigeria, when you are talking of 1 billion barrels, you find it only maybe in the offshore. You find the fields like the Agbami, like the Bonga, like the Erha. These are the kind of fields that are offshore that are having 1 billion barrels. Today you're having 1 billion barrels here. The upside potentials of the discovery around Kiana is another 1 billion barrels that we're having. So what you are talking about are two different things. The technical aspect of this production, the potentials of this production, the aspect that this production is going to benefit Nigeria, the security aspect of it, that outside the shallow waters and outside the Niger Delta, Nigeria also, not Gombe, not northern Nigeria, but Nigeria as a whole now has the potentials to do this integrated production. This is my excitement about it. So the next line you're talking about is idea of corruption. How do you manage that? I do agree with you. We need proper leadership that understands this, that appreciates this, that cares about Nigerians. And it's not, when we talk about leadership, it's not just one person. Muhammad Buhari happens to be a fantastic human being, but he's just one person. So if people around him are not Muhammad Buhari-like, we are still going to go to square one. So this is the issues that I'm saying. So my excitement and my appearance and my discussion is purely on the technical aspect of it, the economic aspect of this block, the importance it is to Nigeria, the value it is bringing to Nigeria, and the new frontier we have just opened, that you can actually have a integrated field development, and you will have another company outside Nigeria that is showing interest to do that. That is a great thing for Nigeria.
Thank you so much for speaking on this one. I appreciate it. I mean, you've spoken in just a very, you've laid it bare. Thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you so much.
That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimberley. God bless Nigeria.